Welcome back to our podcast. The Come Up podcast is our second episode. We came out a little bit late last week. That's our apologies, my apologies specifically. I'll take the blame for that one. But it's been an exciting week of mostly basketball because baseball's going on and hockey too, but we don't really watch as much of those sports as we do basketball. But regardless, we have some very exciting topics to talk about today. And we got to start off with this. The New York Knicks sweep the Cleveland Cavaliers to go to the finals for the first time in 27 years. Nas, what is your reaction to the New York Knicks sweeping the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Yes, so the last time we recorded this, it was before all the series started.
Yeah.
And I was confident in the Cavs not winning the series, but I'm like, they can make it competitive and they have good talent on the roster. Oh, no, they don't. Because guess what? They were up by 20 points in game number one. And that's the only lead they had the whole series. It felt like
6 minutes left to go.
6 minutes left. And like the rest of the series, they didn't have a lead because it was just belt. Jalen Brunson, obviously the conference finals MVP, deserves a lot of credit, but I want to give a lot of credit to the other guys. Karl Anthony Towns has stepped up. His playmaking has been amazing the entire playoffs. OG Anunoby continuing to be that X factor, that glue guy. Josh Hart having great shooting performances.
Yeah.
The New York Knicks are playing complete team basketball. They're 12-0 in their last 12 games. They won the last two games against Atlanta, sweeping Philadelphia, and sweeping Cleveland. It felt like it wasn't a series. Like I said, Cleveland had the 20-point lead with 6 minutes. That was the only time it felt competitive. After that, the Knicks were just dominating. And all credit to Mike Brown as well. You know what he said their game one? He said, James Harden, we're going to attack you on defense. And James Harden does what he does best in the playoffs. He does not rise to that occasion. He does not. In the conference finals, James Harden don't step up. So shout out to New York. Another dominant, quick, easy series. Another great series from everybody, a collective effort. And poor Donovan Mitchell, man, he's probably going to get cooked by a lot of people. And he played decent.
No. Say it with your chest. What do you mean? What happened?
Decent,
How did Donovan Mitchell play?
Here's where I direct the blame to for Cleveland. James Harden,
Yes.
Evan Mobley. Those are the two guys I want to really emphasize the most. James Harden, I actually don't even want to spend too much time on him because we just know who he is. Every year, he's not going to show up in the biggest games. Evan Mobley has not gotten better, especially in the postseason from year one to now year 5. And it is starting to be a real concern because you used a top 5 draft pick on him. He was in the likes of Cade Cunningham and Jalen Green. He was amongst those types of guys when he was coming out. And now you have a guy, Scotty Barnes as well. But now you have a guy who at Evan Mobley, where is he just a rotational big when it comes to a championship team? Is he just another role player? He was supposed to be a potential 2 option and one of the best defenders in basketball potential. And there's some points during the season where he shows that potential, but when it matters in the playoffs, for 3 straight seasons in the playoffs, Evan Mobley has not progressed. And that is a big problem for Cleveland. I wonder how they're going to handle that in the offseason and going into next season. Because when you're in year 5 now, it's like, when are we going to get something out of our 4th overall pick or 3rd overall pick? Like, Evan Mobley and James Harden, for my opinion, are the biggest disappointments in the series. Also, like the role players and stuff, as much like Sam Merrill was great against Detroit. He wasn't really showing up. Max Strus had the energy, but the shots weren't falling as much. The others of the Cavaliers are the main disappointment, specifically James Harden and Evan Mobley. I have to give those guys a lot of criticism.
You just said a lot of things, and I agree with most of them. I'm a Donovan Mitchell guy. He is one of my favorite players in the NBA. I think it genuinely goes Wembanyama, Giannis, Donovan Mitchell. That's generally my top 3. And this reminds me of, what this team reminds me of? The 2021 Utah Jazz. That's exactly what this team reminds me of. Donovan Mitchell's the one that shows up. He's the one with heart. I don't know if you saw that clip where he was yelling at the entire team on the sideline. But like it's the same thing. A nice defensive big who is not very good offensively, just a Walmart version of Rudy Gobert. Jared Allen, right? And a nice ball handler, shooter, but turnovers the ball a lot and can get into those shooting ruts. James Harden was just playing like Jordan Clarkson in 2021. What's going on here, man? And, man. It also, the Cavaliers have a little bit of a roster problem, specifically, especially against the Knicks. Their wings just don't really exist. Like, they just don't. They have two big men in Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. And, of course, if you have speedy wings, somebody's going to pass them really easily. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially if OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, that's a mismatch. Thank you. That's a mismatch, right? And then you have two guards who can't really guard. Yeah, two guards who can't guard in James Harden, and I like Donovan Mitchell. He's good for his size, but you're 6'2". You can't do you. At the end of the day, you're not going to be able to score to defend at a great level because of your size, right? And I love that. That's me saying as a Donovan Mitchell guy, right? But like, look what happened. 6 minutes left to go. With 6 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter, in game one, they took the exact same game plan and ran with it for the next 3 games, which was attack James Harden, right? And then, of course, you don't really have a great wing player to guard against OG or Mikal Bridges. You had Sam Merrill, Dean Wade, and Max Strus, really just a lot of perimeter shooters in there, right? Who can sometimes make highlight hustle plays or whatever. But in hindsight, it's a mismatch. I mean, not in hindsight. We both picked the Cavaliers to lose in 5 games, right? We both picked the Knicks to win in 5. Right. So it's not really. We both saw the mismatch from a mile away, right? Right. I guess the big question now is really like who. I mean, where do the Cavs go from here? That's the big question, and I don't know if you know the contract situation at all, but Evan Mobley's a little bit weird because again, some people just break out later than others. So Evan Mobley still has all the potential in the world. He's still like 22, so he still has potential. He's not at his peak yet. It's getting tiring though, because after that first contract, right after those first 4 years, you're like, oh okay, like you need to show more than just flashes, because at some point, what you're showing us on the court is who you are, you know. And yes. Evan Mobley kind of picked that up a little bit better in the playoffs, especially after the second round, but he is still inconsistent. That 3-point shot really fell off. Like, he went below 30% against the Knicks. And I don't know. It's just, I don't see how you can build around Evan Mobley for the future. And I say that because I'm thinking in one of the options. Okay, so let's explore the option that they want to reset after this season or next season or whatever, right? If they want to reset in the short term, right? Like, or they want to reset soon. Evan Mobley is probably the guy you don't want to get rid of because he's 22. He is a good player. At the end of the day, he's a good player. He could be an all-star, right? A low-end all-star. That's somebody that you'd want on your team. You're paying him $50 million a year for the next 4 years, right? So that's, and I don't know if you agree, Nas. I don't think he can be a number 1, right? And that's not a problem. Nope. It's just a problem when you give so much money to somebody like $50 million a year, and they don't go to at least 80% of what you think they could be. Evan Mobley's really good. I think he still has a lot of potential, and I don't want to get, and especially for the Cavaliers, because everybody else on that team is either just a role player and that's it, or they're getting older, Donovan Mitchell or James Harden. That Evan Mobley's really like the bright spot when it comes to future for the Cavaliers, right? I think Jared Allen's over 30, James Harden's 37, Donovan Mitchell's 31. So now you're looking, okay, like if this core is done, if this core has run its course, right? If we're looking to what's the future of this team without Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley's really the only player on this team. But again, you're paying him $50 million a year, and is he playing at a $50 million per year level? I don't know. But Nas, what's your thoughts on, like, what should the Cavaliers do? Do they do one more year? Do they reset? Do they extend Donovan Mitchell? What do they do?
So they have a lot to go through this
Um,
offseason because you have Evan Mobley who's due, Donovan Mitchell who's due possibly, and James Harden as well. It was a report that came out that James Harden was extending with Cleveland regardless of the result of this series. But think about it if you're Cleveland, just before you sign that contract, really think about this. This is what you're getting, and it's only getting worse because,
he's
like you
older.
said, he's old.
Yeah.
So think if you want to sign that 2-3 year extension with James Harden, knowing that this is only getting worse. This is the best you're going to get from James Harden, and it's only going to decline and decline. What are you going to do differently, James Harden? You've been in the playoffs 17 times. He's been in the playoffs 17 times. There's nothing that's going to change. And then when you look at Donovan Mitchell, I honestly, I would extend Donovan Mitchell. But if you're Donovan Mitchell yourself, you have to question, like, hey, my championship window isn't forever.
But would you
How
extend him
can
though
I?
when you like you have to have another piece. You have to add another piece to that to the Cleveland. You have to add somebody else, preferably a wing, right? You have to add somebody else that's going to take up James Harden's contract because Donovan Mitchell is going to be making more than 50 million a year if you extend him.
Right.
And that's just a lot of money.
Well, then if you don't extend Donovan Mitchell, then that means you have to just rebuild. At that point, you just settle for a rebuild. But if you're going to extend James Harden, you might as well extend Donovan Mitchell if that's going to happen,
Yeah.
because the point of James Harden being there is to contend, and you don't contend anymore without Donovan Mitchell, unless you think you're trading Donovan Mitchell for whoever. But then that's just a whole. You just put yourself in a situation where that's a whole nother question mark. So Cleveland is really not in a great spot here when it comes to they're no I wouldn't say in a bad spot, but they're definitely in a weird spot with all these contracts coming up. Obviously everyone wants to be paid. When it comes to the players, their number one priority is how much money am I getting, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be paid, everybody's gonna have their hand out. But if you're the Cavs, the East, when you look at the Knicks, this Knicks team is probably not going nowhere. Boston's going to come back healthier next year. Detroit's only going to get better. Like when you're Cleveland, what are you really looking at if you bring back all these guys? But then are you going to settle for, like I said, once you get rid of Donovan Mitchell, you're kind of accepting a rebuild. But do you really want to go through that when you got 37-year-old James Harden wanting to stay? So it's really a very weird spot to be in. It seems if I had to put a prediction on it, I just think the Cavs are probably gonna, extend Donovan Mitchell, extend James Harden, probably either extend Evan Mobley or make him play another year or something, and they're just gonna be the same team they were last year. This year, they're just gonna be the same level, not get better, not get too much worse. Middle of that Eastern Conference, and it's just going to be another year of Cleveland just being a second, third round exit, and that's just what I see. And Cleveland, man, I don't know. They got to switch something up, but it doesn't seem like they're going in that direction.
I think that because you look at the contracts, there's 3 players making more than $40 million a year, and 2 of them are making more than $50 million a year. So Evan Mobley and Donovan Mitchell are both making over $50 million a year on average. I think I'm pretty sure. And then Donovan Mitchell only has 1 more year left. He has 1 more year left, and then after that he has a player option. So technically he has 2 years left if he wants to come back for a second year. James Harden is either going to extend or is going to sign the player option that he has for 2027 for next season, or maybe an actual extension. And then Evan Mobley's already tied up for the next 4 years. He's going to be making a little bit over $50 million a year on average. That's a lot of money. What else can you do to that roster? You know what I mean? For example, nobody on the Spurs are making that much money, right? Like nobody on the Spurs is making that much money. So, like, you don't have the roster, in my opinion, around those 3 guys that you can pay them that much money and actually think you're going to be contending after at least next year, right?
Right.
Because,
Right.
I mean, let's be honest, James Harden's not going to ever get 40 plus million ever again. I don't think so. Right? Like I'd be surprised. I just think he's
Nah.
too old. He's in his late. He's going to be in his late 30s, especially after next year. So he's going to sign that player option at the very least. I think that they probably could run it back for one more year, and you might think that that's a mute point. Like, why, right? Especially when you think, oh, the Celtics and the Knicks are probably going to be better next year. Like, at least those two teams will be better next year. So why would they run it back? Well, I mean, I guess I'll say this. This team was only constructed, with the James Harden in it, has only been constructed since February of this year. So maybe with an actual full offseason and a full year to build up chemistry, they could do something. I doubt it. Because if they Donovan Mitchell would have to go back to 2021 Donovan Mitchell for them to even go back to the Eastern Conference Finals next year. Right? Especially since, I mean, James Harden would have to dig in somewhere deep to go back a little bit to not repeat this high turnover. Nas, did you know that for 2 out of the 4 games and half of the series, he had more turnovers than field goals made in the game?
Crazy.
And then in the 18 playoff games he's played so far, 6 of them he's had more turnovers than field goals made. And there's a few more which were very close. That is a third of your games. A third of your games you're turning the ball over more than you're making shots. That's not good. That's just simply not good. It's not going to cut it. And I don't see. And me personally, if me and Nas were the GM, co-GM of the Cavaliers, I think me and you both agree we're just resetting.
Yes.
We're either resetting, or maybe because I want to be good for one more year, even if we don't win the entire thing, I'll do one more shot just off the slim chance that this is just like a short, like a 3 month, like we only had 3 months to build something together kind of issue instead of like a year. So I'm probably I might give it another run, but after that I'm not extending Donovan Mitchell. And this is nothing to discredit Donovan Mitchell. It's just the team. It's the team itself, not Donovan Mitchell. But yeah, that's the Cavaliers. To explore a little bit other things. LeBron James is probably going to have one more year, and there have been rumors that he's going to go back, kind of a storybook ending, right? He goes back to the team that drafted him, right? Okay, right. So that could happen. That'd be an actual legit wing that you can add to your team. I don't see how that works money-wise. I'd be surprised if LeBron James takes a hefty pay cut. I wouldn't be surprised if he takes a little pay cut, but like, how as big is the pay cut? Because if it's like a $20 million pay cut, I don't think he's going to take that. I'm thinking 5, maybe 10 million at most. And then you have the rumors that, not the rumors, but the contract lines up, Nas, where you can trade Evan Mobley and first-round picks, maybe, to get Giannis.
Yeah.
Contract-wise, it works. And it's very funny because, like, in the short term, that's actually not a bad option. It's just, again, I must ask you, okay, you get Giannis and you trade Evan Mobley. How does that improve the rest of the roster, though? You get better defensively, sure. But again,
you just get better top heavy.
Yeah, you get better top heavy.
You don't improve the depth of the roster. You're just replacing one player who's better now than another player.
And the biggest thing is that you're gutting your future, because you have to get rid of picks. And Evan Mobley, who's the only like potential future guy on this team as of now. So yeah, but the Knicks. Again, Jalen Brunson attacked James Harden, and they did a really damn good job at that. The Knicks are just deeper. They actually have a very well-constructed team. Mike Brown, he coached better than Kenny Atkinson. According to Atkinson, they're still in the series, because analytically, it's a 2-2 game. That's a quote.
Cow.
That's a hell of a quote. The Knicks are going to be really good. I think whoever they face in the finals, they have a chance to
Mhm.
win. They have a chance to
Yes.
win. Just talk about the flaws real quick of the Thunder. There's been a recipe for stopping SGA. And if you're a good enough team, and if you're a deep enough team, which I believe the Knicks are, you can stop SGA, let the other role players on OKC play well, and you can win games like that. The Lakers couldn't do it, and who did they play in the first round?
Phoenix.
And the Phoenix couldn't do it because they don't have a good enough roster. But the Knicks do have a good enough roster. And the Spurs, I mean, we've seen the flaws they've had. If they turn over the ball 20 times a game like they did in games 2 and 3 and even 1, then the Knicks can exploit that and win. So, again, you're talking about a very inexperienced Spurs team who has still a lot of flaws, and without Wembanyama on the court, oh my God, it's bad. And the Knicks are actually a better match up against the Spurs than the Thunder are. Or the Thunder, which have kind of a recipe to defeat them anyways. Again, the favorites would still come out of the West, but the Knicks definitely have a chance to win the finals.
100%.
But let's talk about the Western Conference Finals.
Yes.
Miles, what do you think about
So,
the Western Conference Finals? It's 2-2 right now.
yes.
Game 5 is tonight. It's been a
Yes.
hell of a series. What do you think so far about the
So we're 4 games in. We both had this 1-7, and it's tied up. So as far as the series goes, it's basically what we've expected.
Yep,
Game one, classic.
classic.
Classic. One of the greatest games,
One of the
playoff
greatest. Yep.
games that we've seen. I just when it comes down to star players performing, role players, overtimes, big time shots. Game one was just magic, right?
Yeah.
Games 2 and 3, kind of died down as far as intensity of each game, but you still felt the competitiveness. The biggest takeaway I have in this series so far, starting on San Antonio's side, is like you said, the turnovers. In some
Jeez.
offensive possessions, I noticed you guys are a little bit like stalled a little bit. You guys hold the ball for too long. A little confused on how to get the ball, who you want to go to later in the shot clock. I feel like there's certain things that have to be cleaned
Oh
up. Mitch
Lord.
Johnson has done an amazing job coaching, though.
Yes, he
I've
has.
noticed a lot of great coaching points, especially coaching the younger guys like Stephon Castle, Carter Bryant. He's very active on those bad possessions. When you guys turn over the ball, he's fixing it right then and there. Mitch Johnson, no matter how the series ends, I was a little skeptical because the Greg Popovich replacement has to be living to a certain standard. The Spurs culture that, so I'm always a little skeptical when you're replacing a legendary coach. Right now, Mitch Johnson as a head coach is earning my respect in that regard. But San Antonio, another thing, obviously their big man depth outside of Wemby is something to monitor.
It's not normal.
But with the reason why I'm not going to push on that too much is because what Wembanyama has been able to show us is that he's willing to play 40 plus minutes. You know what? We don't got no backup big. Luke Cornett, give me like 2 minutes of rest. I'm playing the rest of the game, right? Give me the first 2 minutes of the fourth quarter off. I'm paying the last 10 minutes all out offensively, defensively. What did he say after game one? We'll rest in July. We don't care about how our body feels right now. So the
It was
mentality of
amazing.
Wemby is just reigning supreme right now. And I'm not gonna lie, with all the Spurs' youth and experience outside of De'Aaron Fox and White Harrison Barnes,
Yeah.
I'm actually impressed. While you guys are making some mistakes, especially in game 2 and game 3, with 20 plus turnovers. I mean, I think in game 2, y'all had 20 turnovers before the fourth quarter started. Like, it was that bad. Stephon Castle had like 11 himself, right? So when I look at the Spurs, with all the youth and all the mistakes, one thing I can say is that they're not shying away from the moment. They're not. Nobody seems rattled. Nobody seems scared. Nobody seems like, oh my God. And it starts with, I had to say, like, it really starts with your guy. He's setting the tone defensively, offensively, dominating his matchups. And even in this game 4 where they won, he had 33. It was a calm little 33, but it was
Yes.
just
Calm. 33.
everybody, the energy that
Yep.
your team brings. Like these aren't young guys who are scared. These aren't young guys, like I said, who are nervous. Hey Shea, Stephon Kev's like, look Shea, I'm gonna guard you almost every possession, and you're gonna have to score on me every time. And if you score on me this possession, you're gonna have to do it again next possession. And I love that mentality. Like you're going to have, and they're forcing Shea to play a lot of ISO ball and a lot of different looks and different coverages. Sometimes they let him go ISO. Sometimes they send a double, mixing it up, making Shea have to think a little bit more.
Mhm.
Obviously, you're not going to stop the two-time MVP every game, but the way that
The
they've been
refs.
able to switch things up and not shy away, I've appreciated that from the
Yeah.
Spurs defense.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Man, watching this is a roller coaster of feelings. Right? Because like
Spurs guy.
in all honesty, yeah, Spurs guy. You know, um man oh man. This is the first, well no, it's not the first actual. Well, no, it is. This is the first actual Western Conference Finals that I've watched personally with the Spurs, where I've actually felt like there's a chance to win the series and like eventually win the finals, right? Unlike the Ravens, I wasn't too into basketball. I watched the Spurs beat the Heat in the finals, and I became a fan afterwards, right? But it was mostly, oh, they're from Texas. My dad's side's from Texas, and I'll pick them because they just won, et cetera, right? And with the Ravens, I actually locked in and watched that entire playoff run. But the Spurs, I watched the end of the Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker era. I watched the end of it, right? I got a little bit of the taste, but in reality, I'm a newer Spurs fan, right? I stuck through it with the DeMar DeRozan, LaMarcus Aldridge days, to the DeJounte Murray days, to now Victor Wembanyama, right? And this, like, to see how far he's developed through just 3 years. Nas, he's only 21. Is insane to me. I have never seen a player exceed expectations like this in 3 years. And his expectations are on the same level that LeBron James got when he entered the league in 2003. Which was, hey, if you literally heard people say, he's not a top 10 player of all time, he disappointed. There's people in the media saying that, and he's already playing at that level and more so. Wembanyama alone, if he like just clicks, he could win the series for the Spurs. For sure. And it's been a roller coaster because as much as you see the potential, games 1 and game 4, that's the potential that the Spurs give out. That's what the future can be here. Game 2 and 3, and even a little bit of 1, in all honesty, they shouldn't have let that go to double overtime. You saw the inexperience and how further away they are from peak San Antonio Spurs. Because, again, this is the youngest team in the NBA, right? I'm pretty sure. This is the youngest, definitely the youngest team when it comes to actually contending for a championship.
Correct.
And they have turnovers. Their half-court offense leaves more to be desired. They're kind of that athletic team where they're really good in the transition because, right? They're a young athletic team, so they're really good in this transition. They're really good the first 7 seconds, right? And youth, athleticism. But man, oh man, if the Spurs lose this series, it's because Wembanyama doesn't know how to kick out, or sometimes he like puts his head down and goes into triple coverage for some reason. They keep passing the ball. Stephon Castle holds it for 10 seconds. Then Dylan Harper holds it for 10 seconds. And then De'Aaron Fox has to shoot like a heave with 3 seconds left. Like, there's too much inexperience here. And I don't know who's going to win. Because what they have been doing well against the Thunder is stopping SGA from doing his typical SGA thing, right? They've been and games 2 and 3 didn't work because the Thunder are that deep. And again, you don't usually see the bench outscore the starting lineup. And the Spurs are relying on them not to be able to do that consistently because just history tells us that you can't do that like consistently enough. But hey, man, Jared McCain, Alex Caruso, I tip my hat to y'all because holy crap, they're playing well in this series. In fact, if the Thunder do go on to the finals, I'll say it right now, Alex Caruso should win Western Conference Finals MVP. That's how good he's been playing. You're laughing at that? You shouldn't laugh at that because it's true. That's how good he's played. In all honesty, that's how good he's played. Chet Holmgren's got to be better. He just needs to be better. That's simple put. He needs to be more aggressive. And he needs to. I just don't like his attitude. I guess when it comes like it just he looks defeated already. He looks defeated already. Like at the end of the games, I don't know. There's a difference between like dang we lost to like looking defeated. You know what I mean? And sometimes I just feel like the Thunder the Thunder as a whole look kind of too defeated at times, especially in games 1 and 4.
Yes.
So just to conclude, both teams can easily win. The Spurs and the Thunder both have their flaws, but they both have their praises as well. And this is an all timer, and I can't wait to see where this goes. Sorry, I can't
Yes.
ramble
The
that
only
long.
thing that I would add to that is that Jalen Williams and AJ Mitchell
Yes,
are missing tonight's game, and they potentially miss game 6. Those are two, especially AJ Mitchell, very important role players in this playoff run that they've been successful in. So we'll see how the Spurs take advantage of those guys being out with your guys' great guard depth in this playoffs.
great guard depth, yeah. Especially with De'Aaron Fox
Yeah.
back, the different. Hey, I know that Game 3 didn't go the Spurs' way, but the difference
Yep.
in the offense and how that it's being handled. I mean, the half court offense is just so much better already with him on the court. It's so much better already.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, he was very much needed. I was having this conversation with my father yesterday, actually, right?
Okay.
And he was saying how, oh man, oh man, this is like one of the best playoff series I've seen ever, right? And I was thinking about it. I was like, is this one of the best playoff series ever? Simply put, when I actually thought about it, and he was saying specifically conference finals. So of course that limits the window a lot because you can't bring up 3-1, you can't bring up the Mavs underdog story, you can't bring up those things. He's talking about conference finals specifically. Is this already like one of the best?
Definitely up there. I know Warriors and Rockets had a 7-gamer back in 2018, I want to say, in the West Finals.
I'm
The
pretty sure that
Warriors
was
dominated.
2017.
2017,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure.
Um, 27 straight missed threes. James Harden getting the biggest game.
Didn't he have a
I'm
quadruple
trying to
double
think.
in turnovers?
The Warriors 3-1 comeback a few seasons before against the Oklahoma City Thunder.
That yes.
Was another one. It's the down the stretch of that series got entertaining, but this is definitely set up to be one of the best. If this concludes how it started, definitely going to go down as arguably the greatest Western Conference. I have it as my number one conference finals series that I've seen. If it continues on how it started,
LeBron James versus the Celtics. I think that was the Eastern Conference Finals, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I again, it's unfair because the Spurs, like, let's say the Spurs or the Thunder just win the next 2 games. I just think it's automatically out because the best conference finals usually go to 7, or if it goes to 6, it's like a close game every single game. And there's still a possibility that doesn't happen. There's a possibility that the last 2 games are kind of dominated by one team. Or the last 3 games are still like blowout, because we've seen that also in the past, which is weird to say. But yes, I mean, this is an amazing series so far. I think basketball, in my opinion, and it kind of fluctuates, obviously, but like the last 2 seasons of basketball has been the best basketball since before the Warriors. I shouldn't say before the Warriors as in before 2015. I mean before 2017. It's been the best basketball since then, right? So it's very fun. And one thing I also want to dip into a little bit is why are people calling this? Because I mean we didn't hear this last year with the Pacers versus the Knicks. You know what I'm saying? Or any of the other playoff conference final series. And I think it's very simple. It's a little bit more of a rivalry. And you get that taste a little bit of like, I don't want to be an old head, but the old days, when there was competition and bad blood and stuff like that, right? And people point to the Wembanyama versus Chet like rivalry, and they're like, that reminds me of actual competitive basketball, not this kumbaya, y'all, we all love each other, man. Like kind of basketball that a lot of people think that LeBron James and Steph Curry and whoever, Kevin Durant, have like brought into the NBA. I think that this is a start of one of the best rivalries of all time. I think that the NBA has kind of needed something like this. Not that basketball was like bad the last few years. Like, no, I don't think so. Like the Pacers one was fun. The Giannis championship was amazing, et cetera, et cetera. They were good championships. They were good, fun basketball to watch. But I think we haven't seen a rivalry kind of this, like on this level, since like pre KD Warriors versus Cavaliers. Right? I think so. What do
Yeah.
you think?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And part of this conversation I want to save because this part of this goes to my hot take for later. But I
Oh,
definitely agree. This is definitely some to kind of pinpoint the rivalry aspect. When you talk about the Spurs and the Thunder, this, like you said, has the potential to go down as this. This is the start of what could potentially be the battle. You
yeah.
know, we had the Warriors and Cavaliers for some years.
Some.
Where obviously that was NBA Finals, but that
Yeah.
turned into a
Five,
rivalry.
4 years straight.
Um, Knicks and Pacers, you seen that get revisited last year and how that kind of transpired. So you got a lot of different rivalries. Obviously, the Spurs and Lakers in the early 2000s, some of those
Yeah.
battles, Spurs and Mavericks, some of those battles, Kobe, Tim Duncan, Dirk, Garnett, like Celtics, Lakers, obviously, that's obviously the biggest one. But this has the potential to live up to some of those early 2000s rivalries that, I hate you, you hate me basketball between, Shaq and Tim Duncan. They had respect, but it wasn't no hugging and dapping up. It was you guard me, I'm guarding you, let's get to work. Dirk versus whoever. Dirk against Miami, it was I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get it done and I'm gonna beat all the West teams to get there. So this definitely has the potential. The way that Wemby approaches this matchup as well. I feel like the Thunder are a little humble about it. They're the defending champions, so they're on a little bit, the humble side, being like, okay, But the way that the Spurs are approaching this, and look, let's say the Spurs do come out, win these next two games or whatever, win the series. The Thunder, they can play the humble check and be like, oh yeah, I don't really care, all I want. They not gonna like that the Spurs came in and took that series, and if they Spurs go and win a championship, the Thunder not just gonna sit there and accept that. They gonna come back next year with their 80 million first round picks, rebuild another good team, and they're gonna be right back. So I can't wait to see it.
Sometimes, sometimes attitude wins a championship. Sometimes. Sometimes it does not matter that a team is better than the other.
2004
I
Pistons.
That's a great example. I just think that there's sometimes a team just either has the momentum, so that they're hype for that entire playoff run, whether it be NFL, NBA, and it doesn't matter, right? They're just boom, they're the momentum, it clicked at the right time and they win. Or the attitude is just that great that the other team, you're kind of like, where's your attitude towards this team? Why is blank, right? Why does the Spurs want this? It's not why does the Spurs want this more than you? It kind of seems like that, right? It's not necessarily
Mm-hmm.
that they want to win more, it's that they want to beat you more, right? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think that sometimes this is why I kind of don't like the attitude that Chet Holmgren's been given out. It's humble, but also at the same time, there's a lot of great people like analysts. One of my favorites, like Dom2K. I don't know if you watch his videos on YouTube, but I love him a lot because he's questioning like, hey, like Chet, like at some point you just gotta like give into it because sometimes some players can ignore it and play well without it. You've been playing bad with it while you've been trying to ignore it. So maybe you getting hyped up a little bit and you trying to like get into that little toxic rivalry can work. I don't know. Um, I think it's interesting. I think that this rivalry is going to be awesome. I mean, they're both young. They both have lots of talent. They both have bright futures. Wembenyama is outlook wise in the future is probably looking to be the best player out of these two teams, right? In the future, like especially for the future. But both of these teams are under 25 years old, average wise, and they have a lot of players that's going to be there for a long time. So yeah, that's the Western Conference Finals. Any last thoughts, Mr. Nas?
No man, let's enjoy these last three games. Hey, it's a best of three series now, so 2 games or 3 games to go. Who can take up 2 games in these next three? Can't wait.
It's
Yes.
hot take time. Give me
Yes,
your
it is.
hot take, Mr. Nas.
So we've been dibbling dabbling around this topic, and I've been keeping my mouth shut because we've been talking about this playoffs in high regard. We've been talking about this playoffs like it's up there. This is the best playoffs run that just in general, not from any team. This is the best playoffs that I have watched ever. Now let's get context. We're on the younger side, right?
Youngins, yep.
I would say safely 2013 and up.
Okay.
I have not seen a better overall playoffs within the last 13 years. When I let's get into it. We had some sweeps, okay. Philly got swept,
No.
Cleveland got swept,
Wrong. That's wrong.
but
2016. 2016. Come on.
okay. We had
2016.
ups. We've had so much parity. First off, we had 3-1 comeback, 2 3-1 comebacks in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia beating Boston, the kryptonite, the whole story, completing that. Orlando choking after we thought they were about to upset the Pistons. Cade Cunningham giving you 40 points, 35, 38 points. Then in the first round, you had Cleveland and Toronto. R.J. Barrett hitting game winners to force a game 7. R.J. Barrett, we thought he was done as far as his potential goes. Former second overall pick. That guy still trying to be one of those guys in this league. And then you go to the next round. You have some great series, right? You have another game 7 when it comes to Cleveland and Detroit going back and forth, overtime games. And then you finish it off with the conference finals. Okay, the Knicks and okay. But when you talk about, and this series isn't over yet, but when you just talk about the Spurs versus the Thunder living up to the hype throughout the first 4 games of this series.
Okay.
I mean, heroic moments, game-winning shots, overtime game, right? Even in game 2, Stephon Castle taking the top off, dunking on people, like the hype that it has lived up to in this conference finals, and it's not even done. It's almost exceeding the expectations. So when I look from the first round to the conference finals, this is the best playoffs that I've watched. Your response, sir?
2016 has to be the answer here. And this is a little bit unfair because it's not finished. I think that it could very well pass 2016. But the problem with this is that that's such a high bar. Because even if a Spurs x Knicks / Thunder x Knicks finals goes to 7, it's probably not going to be better than the 3-1 comeback. Probably not. That finals is literally one of the best finals in NBA history, might be the best finals in NBA history. And that's a high bar. But not only that, because now you have the Thunder blowing a 3-1 lead to the Warriors beforehand. That's 2 3-1 leads just in the Western Conference Finals and then the finals itself, happening to the team that returned down 3 against the Thunder. So they it's a little bit of an ironic like test, or not test. It's like a little irony against the Warriors that they lost 3-1 after being up 3-1, right? LeBronto, and while the Eastern Conference, as much as you want to talk about it, right? Like talk about there's 2 3-1 comebacks, right? The Eastern Conference in general has been a little bit disappointing when it comes to the totality of it, right? I guess Pistons Cavs was pretty good, but there were 7-game series. Remember, Nas, there were 7-game series in the second round of the Eastern Conference in 2016 as well. The Toronto Raptors, defeated the Heat in 7 games. That was a 7-game series, right? And then I'm pretty sure that the LeBronto, Cleveland, this is for you. I am pretty sure that was the Eastern Conference Finals, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong. Nonetheless, even if it isn't, I know for a fact in 2016 that he had a game winner against the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Okay.
Or against the Toronto Raptors. LeBron did.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the first round, because again, this is a little bit not fair because I'm actually looking this up just to make sure that I'm not too wrong. But that's also I'm pretty sure Paul George with the Pacers, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And
First round, LeBron and Paul George.
no, it wasn't LeBron versus Paul George. It was DeMar DeRozan and them versus Paul George, and that went to 7 games.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many great series, and then you got the OKC Thunder versus the 2016 Spurs. Like that was a good rivalry in the early 2010s. I think that there's just two. Again, the Eastern Conference was better, entertainment wise. I think in 2016, and in the Western Conference, as of now, I mean, the Thunder blowing a 3-1 lead and then the finals itself is probably going to be more entertaining and more fun to watch than what happens in the next 2 series. That's just from a statistic standpoint. It needs to end, Nas. It needs to end first. If this Thunder versus Spurs goes to 7, if the finals goes to 7, we can revisit this topic. But I think other than that, I think that it's not there yet. It's not 2016 yet. I'm trying to think of any other series that we've watched in our lifetime because we're a little bit similar. 2019 maybe. Okay, let's talk about it. 2019, remember, Dame time. Dame time in the first series against the Thunder. Remember?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was really fun. So we got the Portland Trailblazers going to the Western Conference Finals. And while that wasn't fun in of itself, you know this all too well as a Philadelphia fan. The Raptors. Kawhi Leonard run. That was an insane run. I guess the only problem with that was the Warriors were hurt. So while they deserved it, it didn't taste good. Like it wasn't like a...
Yeah, I feel like the ending of that playoff run makes it a little like distasteful as far as how it ended.
But again, anything could happen in the last few games, and the finals could be a blowout. So you never know.
Right.
I think 2016, 2019 still has even 2021. I like the 2021 playoffs. I think that this one's gonna be better, but I think that it needs to actually finish first, and we need to see what happens.
Your turn, sir. How are you going to grind the gears today?
I don't think I'm going to grind the gears at all, actually. Me and Nas have a friend, Johnny. And he's a Knicks fan. Shout out to the Knicks and Johnny, right? And I've always, just to kind of play around with Johnny, I'm like, oh, you don't have any superstars on your team. Jalen Brunson's not a superstar.
I know where you're going.
And I actually believed it. I actually believe that because we'll get into it, but I have a very high standard for superstar players.
Okay.
And Jalen Brunson's hit it. I think Jalen Brunson is a superstar player.
You come around to it. Wow.
Come around to it. I can't not watch what's happening and say that he's not. Jalen Brunson, I mean, let's be completely honest here. We have players who can't play defense, and not saying Jalen Brunson can't, because he can he can play good for his size. Right? But again, he's on the smaller side. But Luka Doncic can't play defense for shit. No offense. And he's a superstar. Right? There's multiple players that I can name that can't play defense even at a good level that are superstars. Jokic and Luka being the top ones, right? And Jalen Brunson is offensively elite, and the impact he has on the Knicks is elite, and how he's played in the playoffs is elite. He's been, again, one of my topics, one of my criteria is that you have to be a top 10 player, MVP level, which in all honesty, MVP level is more of a spectrum, kind of. Like, you don't have to be an MVP candidate to be involved as an MVP level. Like, again, LeBron James should technically have like 10 MVPs, right? Michael Jordan should have 10 MVPs. right? So again, MVPs is still a kind of a fake, kind of like, we'll give it to Embiid because we're tired of voting for Jokic. I'm joking. Embiid deserved it. Don't get mad at me. Um,
Mhm.
but sometimes that happens, right? I think Jalen Brunson's playing like one of the best players in the world. I think Jalen Brunson's a top 10 player. I think he is playing, again, he's going to be all NBA second team again.
Mhm.
And there's more than there's more than only 5 superstars. You don't have to be an all NBA first team to be a superstar, right? There's only 5
Right. Right.
spots. And then you go to your second team. He's been in the second team
Mhm.
for 3 years now. I think it's about to be 4. He
Mhm.
scores at an elite MVP level. He has risen the Knicks from a bona fide second round exit at most to finals.
Yes.
That's how impactful Jalen Brunson is, and only superstars do that. Only
Right.
superstars do that. And Jalen Brunson has done it. He's been at such a high level for too many years straight for me to deny him that superstar status.
Mhm.
He doesn't have that thing, and I'm gonna compare him to a few players that I used to do. So Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell, as much as I love him,
Mhm.
sometimes he kind of scores in bunches too much, and you feel like I question if he can be a number one on a championship team, just for the simple fact, not because he himself is not that talented. He's a top 15 player in the league right now, but mainly because like sometimes he when the Cavaliers or when the Jazz need a shot to be made, he doesn't hit that. And Jalen Brunson
Mhm.
has multiple times. And that is very nitpicky because again, Donovan Mitchell can be the guy that scores the last 30 points for you and then he misses the last shot. That's not on Donovan Mitchell. You should have fucking defended, right? But Jalen Brunson's doing the same thing, and he's hitting those clutch shots. It's very minute, it's very nitpicky, but that's what separates the superstars from the stars, right? And Jalen
Mhm.
Brunson's been doing that for the last few years. Jalen Brunson, I just think, has slightly better intangibles. And while I do think the Knicks team is constructed better, I don't think the Knicks
Mhm.
team is so great that it's like elevating Jalen Brunson to a high level. Jalen Brunson's been playing this way before they had McCall Bridges, I'm pretty sure. Before they had all of the pieces in set place. Oh my God, before they had Cat, which is a definite upgrade over somebody else. So, that guy over in Minnesota, Jalen Brunson's a superstar player. And I'm ready to stamp that. And maybe I'm coming too late, but my bar for
Mhm.
superstars are pretty high. I think that maybe he might be like a little bit less than like an MVP level. But like
Mhm.
I think he's been playing at that level. It's just other players. I mean, just because you're a superstar doesn't mean you're the exact same level as Wembanyama or SGA. I think that Wembanyama and SGA are clearly better than Jalen Brunson, but Jalen Brunson is still a superstar. Nas.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh,
I
okay.
think you cannot watch what we have been watching, and say that he isn't. And this is you kind of said it perfectly, so I don't even have to go too much. But what superstars do is that they elevate, and what Jalen Brunson has done since he stepped foot in New York is elevate them. And the biggest reason, one of the biggest intangible reasons why I'm actually going to give him superstardom guaranteed, is because 2 years ago he signed an extension and he took an $130 million pay cut that was able to get them OG Anunoby, Karl Anthony Towns, and Mikal Bridges, replacing
Yeah.
RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, and Emil quickly, obviously in a rotation, and not obviously player for all those, but
Yeah.
in hindsight, him taking that pay cut, being able to get a guy like Bridges, bring a guy like Cat, and extend a guy like OG compared to what, like I said, Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, and Emmanuel quickly, like that is what you do as a leader of the franchise. I'll take a pay cut. I know I'm the guy. Let's build this championship team. And then he's actually led them to the championship. He delivered on his promise. That's superstardom. Win, lose, or draw in this NBA Finals, that you say I'm going to do this, build this team, and do it. You have to. He delivered. He delivered. So got to give him the respect. And there's no more I can say, bro. He's incredible.
Yeah. We only got one hot take for you guys. Last week 3 was too much. We'll play around. Well, this is the beginning, so we'll play around with what we do on the show. But thank you guys so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. A very tame episode compared to last week's. But stay tuned. We're gonna have we're gonna have a lot of fun, especially when next week we're gonna do the NBA Finals preview versus the Knicks versus whoever it is, right? So yeah, stay tuned, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Have a great day, guys.
Bye.